Good afternoon. We have the pleasure to have with us the gentleman, Professor
Enrico Pierangely.
Thank you. Who was part of the team who demonstrated scientifically that if a vision is reality. I would like him to tell us his impressions before starting the search, before trying to look for scientific proof.
Well, this technique to us was something impossible to be done. We were really shocked by this possibility. So we approached the problem with an open mind just to see what happens. But in deep of our soul, there was the idea that it was something really impossible. For this reason, we started to ask volunteers that have been trained by the engineer Komissarov with the technique of infovisione, and we asked to these people with eyes covered by a black thick mask to read words in a computer, and to make sure that there was no light through the mask, our laboratory, with the cooperation of Professor Enrico from the laboratory from the School of Quantistic Physics of Bari in Italy, we organized, we prepared some masks with instrumentation able to measure the quantity of light inside the mask. Once we were sure that the quantity of light inside the mask was 0, the experiment was done, and the volunteers were able to read words into the computer. And also, when they were asked in which color were these words written, they were also able to describe the colors. This was for us a furthermore reason of shock. So what happens? We thought a second proof, and Professor Elio Conte, Professor of Quantistic Physics, thought to insert inside the mask 2 cameras working with infrared rays. As you know, the infrared rays are unable to be recognized by the human retina, and so the pupils are dilated as they are in the full absence of light. So we did the experiment again with volunteers wearing this mask with the infrared cameras, and at the same time the voluntary were having a belt on the head to measure electroencephalogram, and a support on the finger to measure heart frequency and autonomic system reactions. So with these parameters that were going on the computer, I repeat, electroencephalogram, heart rate evaluation, and the film of the pupils inside the mask. The experiment were done again, and the voluntary were able to read the words and to describe perfectly the color of these words. So before trying to express any explanation, we just now recognize that this is a fact, and then we will work for further explanations. What was apparent since the beginning is that the so-called alpha waves, that are the waves that are produced by our brain when we are in a state of full relax with closed eyes. We ask the voluntary, please close your eye and just relax. And so on the electroencephalogram we see that there is the presence of these alpha waves. If we ask to a person to open the eyes, the alpha waves, they are lost. They finish, change the pattern of waves of the electroencephalogram. What is strange, we just acknowledge the presence of alpha waves within the voluntary during the experiment when they were reading with open eyes inside the mask. The electroencephalograms was showing alpha waves, which are the ones normally related with relaxed state and closed eyes. So something
that is very interesting.
Just interesting, but has to be understood better. We need to work out, but we have to work out to so many other things, not only this.
Right.
So just at the moment, we just acknowledge that infovision is a fact. Then we'll see the future. Of course, the first tentative of scientific explanation is to look at infovision as a part of quantistic vision of the world, according to quantistic physics.
I would like now to ask you, this question just came to me. From my own experience and from what I see to other people attending the seminar, everybody, literally everybody, has the illusion that they are looking somehow below the mask or whatever, but the illusion is extremely strong. The participants themselves need to be explained and proved that they are not cheating, inverted commas. From your overall experience and knowledge as a scientist, would you be able to give an explanation to this illusion?
Well, myself, I got the same difficulty or illusion that we can call illusion. A possible explanation is very simple. We are accustomed to think as we have been trained to, of course. So if we see through a small spot, which is the initial fact in the infovision training, small tiny spot, a little bit foggy, that after a while opens a little bit, became a little bit less foggy, and slowly start to enlarge. At the first moment, you may have the idea that some light comes through the mask, maybe from between the mask and the nose or something like that. That is usual because we don't have any different way of approaching the vision, of course. And that also is the reason why in the technique only during a learning process is useful to use a mask that is shaped in such a way to have the eyes open. open it.
Right.
Because if we close our eyes, for us it's more difficult to activate what we call vision, general idea that we have of vision. So we need some time to overcome our normal neurophysiological processes that have been just the result of normal training and normal behavior. So to acquire a new way of thinking and of seeing takes time, and maybe we have to activate, probably, I don't know, new synaptic ways.
That's right. Yeah, that is right.
Takes time.
Yeah, that comes with
It's
time.
just the same thing that if I can play any game, let's say basketball, and I play right, to me it will be really difficult to play. To understand what is happening during our training is just very simple. Think about a person playing basketball, usually play with right hand. To learn playing with left hand, probably it's necessary to tie up in a glove or something like that the right, and he will be forced to use the left. At the beginning will be in difficulty, will be in problems, With time, we learn.
Right.
So it's just a new way of thinking that needs a new synaptic pathway.
Thank you very much.